Mr. Tyler.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you for having me here this evening. My high school classmate back there, Larry Beecham, has been trying to get me to come here and do this for a couple of years. And yeah, Larry, I'll be.
Thanks, Dad. They're gonna blame me.
Just trying to help, Larry.
Only if it's a bad presentation.
I hope you paid for your gas.
Sorry. And my cousin David Milligan also asked me if I would come, so I gave some thought to what I might like to talk about with regard to Dad and his art. And the first thing that I want to do is just to, I've got some slides here, and I want to talk about them, and then I'll talk about the decoys that I brought and some of the other things as well, because Dad did carve decoys, but he also did a lot of other artwork as well. So again, thanks to the Delmarva Decoy Collectors Association for having me here. I hope my pictures show up good, because this is old film and old photograph albums, and they're starting to fade. So hopefully they'll be okay. This is Dad with his mom and dad and his siblings. And I'd like to start right out by acknowledging my mom. Most of the pictures that are in this presentation were taken by her. She took a lot of pictures over the course of her life, and my sister's friends nicknamed her Flash Tyler because she always had her camera in hand, was always taking pictures of everything, and without that, there's not this history. And with Dad, it all started out right here in the Birdtown area of Crisfield to the east of Jenkins Creek in the Down Neck area. And this is the old house, and his oldest decoys, which I have some of, were carved right here in this shed. There he is.
How about that?
1935 or so. And somewhere between, there's a closer up of the shed. Sometime between that young guy in front of the school and this guy, he made these.
You said that was around 11?
He was 11 years old. Dad's mentor was Lloyd Tyler. There were a lot of carvers down neck around Crisfield in those days, and the idea was that if you were a hunter and you needed decoys, you made your own. So he started young doing that, and his great uncle, or I'm not sure how exactly the relation is, but it goes back to his great grandfather's line of siblings, and Lloyd came from one of John Henry Tyler's other two brothers. But anyway, Dad was down the dirt road there in Lawsonia in Lloyd's shop a lot, and very likely his earliest ducks used Lloyd's patterns. I can see that now, an 10 or 11-year-old down in Lloyd's shop and needing to cut out some decoys, and Lloyd handing him a pattern, and here, Bryce, draw this on the piece of wood, and he went with it, and as a result of that, a lot of Dad's early work, what there is of it, is sometimes identified with Lloyd. The decoys themselves. I brought one of these, and they're made out of bald cypress. And back in those days, they got their wood from having the Rural Electric Authority drop off used utility poles. They'd call somebody or contact them somehow, say, could I get a couple of poles? And they were happy to get rid of them. So there'd be a pole dumped in the yard. So you get the crosscut saw out, and you start cutting it into various lengths. You end up with a stack of what would otherwise be firewood, and then you split that and make the decoys that were made from those poles were all different sizes. You typically start out with geese down at the big end of the pole, and work your way back the other end doing ducks. So, and that's what those are.
You say bald cypress?
Bald cypress, yeah.
I never knew what it was. It's an unusual wood.
Yeah, I thought you were using white cedar.
I've got some over there that I brought that are white cedar. Interesting story with the white cedar. When he started back to carving in the mid '60s, he didn't have any wood. So where am I going to get wood? And he met some fellows from Pocomoke, Bobby Lynch's father, Harvey, and Clifford Matthews, and Mac Cox, and Mac happened to work for the plywood plant in Pocomoke, and there was and had access to a lot of land, and on some of that land was a lot of dead white cedar snags. So in the heat of the summer, Dad and Harvey and Mac and Clifford, they're down there with their pickups and their panel trucks, cutting dry white cedar, and I know all of them were tore up with chiggers, getting that wood. But they got it, several loads of it. And there was so much wood left that when Dad passed away in '95, there was Mom looked for ways to distribute the wood, and really didn't find any way to get rid of all of it. And because she wanted it gone. She had things that she wanted to do around there, and I wasn't carving. So she contacted the University of Maryland Eastern Shore's art department, and they took it. And she got it appraised by someone down on Nanticoke Road. And in 1997 or so, it was a $9,000 appraisal that she was able to take off of her taxes for that amount of white cedar that he had. There weren't many plastic toys in 1958 or 9, but there were wooden goose decoys. And
Wow.
And incidentally, among other things, Dad was a builder as well. So he built the house that we were living in, and as you'll see going through these pictures, other structures that you see him sitting in, he built all of that. He was a general contractor on the Lower Eastern Shore, building small houses for people that live and work here. He did a lot of things. When my sister got into horses and wanted a pony, well, I wanted one too. So we each got a pony. My sister stuck with horses and riding, and I gave it up after about 2 years. And of course, there had to be a fence built. So we did that too. And it was from this position right here on this sofa on February 19th, 1964, that Dad, propped up on his elbow watching the Ed Sullivan show, said something that I can't repeat about the Beatles. I'll just leave it at that.
I remember that show.
Mm-hmm. I do too. And if he didn't like the Beatles, I didn't like them either.
Nobody watched the Beatles.
But things changed for me. And he took us crab. He'd been a waterman before he was a building contractor, so he knew how to do all that stuff on the water. So he took us scraping.
Aren't you scaling an old drum there, ain't you?
Took me fishing. We caught a black drum. Went up and got on WBOC, and there was a newspaper article about it. And then he brought the fish home and scaled it with a grubbing hoe.
Yep, got the hoe out.
which is what you did. And the same grubbing hoe was also used to go down to the shore on a real minus tide and find some minnows, otherwise known as soft shell clams, and hack a trench out and take a cement trowel and then just get down on your knees and peel them out one after another, after another, after another. I bet there's not a bucket full in Pocomoke Sound now. And yes, so this is no, I don't think he built that skiff. I think we borrowed that one, but he built skiffs like this. Did taxidermy work. Taught me how to do it. Wanted to mount a whole deer, so we did. And then he started carving. Again, he'd stopped carving for a long time. Unlike Lloyd, who carved decoys and sold them to gunners, Dad just made a few decoys for himself and let it go at that. When I came along and started hunting, he still had the full set of those really old ones, and the ones that are here tonight, I've hunted over. First time he took me out was we went. He takes a 9-year-old all the way on around Thanksgiving, all the way down to the extreme southwest end of the Cedar Island Marsh. and put those old duck decoys out, the old goose decoys that you saw there in the pool, and probably the only reason he took me down there that day was because it wasn't blowing very hard, so there wasn't very much flying close. And I can still remember sitting there in this big cedar blind, and geese were flying, from here to Camden Avenue. Shoot them, Dad. Robin, you can't shoot those geese; they're too far. I just had no sense of scale whatsoever. But we were down there, and I was bored, so he says, I've got a little single shot 410 hammer gun, and he says, Robin, shoot the head off that decoy over there. 1964. Boom!
You water swatted it, huh?
Robin, shoot that one over there. Same result. Couple more of those, and that was enough. Got a little energy out of the 9-year-old, and we're sitting there, and here comes a bunch of hooded mergansers, and they've got one speed, Mach speed. And they came through, and there wasn't even enough time for me to pick up my gun. He just grabbed his 12 and boom, boom, one there, and that was my first hunting trip. That was the first hunting trip that I got to carry a gun. But the first hunting trip that I got to go on was a preparation trip for going hunting probably in the Ware Point Marsh behind Apes Hole when I went with Dad and Uncle Buddy to sweeten the pond.
Not the yellow gold.
No, not the yellow gold.
You didn't put the yellow gold in there?
Not the yellow gold. He used the beige of hard to see rye.
Yeah.
Can't see rye from plane. So Dad and Uncle Buddy loaded that pond up with rye, and I can still see it floating all around the bank, everywhere. And we went back about 8 or 9 days later, and in the morning, one duck came. Wonder what happened here. He found out, later on, one of the other local guys knew about it, knew it was a big bunch of ducks using there, and went and burned them up and ran them all out. And by the time we went, one duck came and was scared, so it was a duckless trip. And but anyway. These two here could well be these two here. There's 6 of them, 4 drakes and 2 hens. And this here could be one of these. But he was carving again. And we were hunting. And we go to the beach in the summer. I'm just, with some of these slides, I'm just trying to get you to know who this guy was and what he was about. He wasn't just always sitting in the shop carving ducks.
I used to have one of his Converse surf mats when I was a kid. They were $5.
Oh man, they're good too.
Wish I had one now, man. That was the best surf mat in the whole world.
Okay, so in 1968, he decided that he didn't want to make decoys anymore. He wanted to do fine art. Decoys bored him. So he decided that he wanted to start making them look like they were going to jump off the table. So this is maybe, actually the number is probably written underneath of this. Why it is. It's a little larger number than I thought it was, but still, this was that was number 18. It was I think the 18th ornamental piece that he set out to do. And these pictures are that ball crown down there. Built the shop. Let's see. Here's look around here. This one here was in one of those early pictures in the presentation. There's the black duck that was that's just like this one. That's Casey's, and this is pretty phenomenal. I only brought ball crowns and canvas backs because there was a point that I wanted to make with them, and I could only bring so many decoys. But I have got a black duck that looks, this black duck in fact, which looks just exactly like this one, except mine has all the paint knocked off of it. Because I hunted with the one that he kept until I don't know, 1980 or something like that. It was easy to carry, with this head turned around, and I'd just go to a pond in the marsh and take 2 or 3 decoys, and that was an easy one to tote. Plus, I really wanted to shoot some black ducks over decoys that my dad had made when he was 11 years old. So. More of the ball crown. And here's what always got me about Dad. Look at especially this picture. And this one too, for that matter. I mean, the focus and the hand-eye coordination was I'm going to say above average. He had a tremendous amount of talent, and he had the opportunity to be around the birds and see the birds and as they were, and develop the passion for them. But he also had something that you just can't teach, and that was just and I just came to this later after watching him for many years. Just the focus, the ability to just hone right in and stay there. I mean, just about anybody can do this and hold it for 10 seconds maybe. But he could go there and stay there for an extended period of time. I mean, he could take a crosscut saw and cut 2x4s completely, and just cut 2x4s one after another, completely level, one after another. Now try cross-cutting a 2x4 and not have your blade turn just a little bit this way or a little bit this way, but just so that it's when you put that level on it, it's completely straight. And he could do that every time.
Now, his decoratives, did he make them for family members, or did he sell them, or?
He sold some. The family has most of the early stuff, the very first ones. My sister has some. I have a few. He made he made 2 life-size swans. This is the best picture that I have for them in this presentation. And of course, Mom took the pictures, you know, right from the very beginning.
Do you still have those swans?
No, there's only so much you can do with big pieces like that. You know, and unless you've got a huge barn, you know, to put all this stuff in, and then what's the point if no one sees it but you? So we donated that piece. We donated it to. I worked 4 years for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. It was my first job out of college as a biologist from Salisbury State. I worked for the foundation for 4 years. And we donated it to, after Dad passed away, we donated it to them. And the last I knew of it, it was at the foundation property when you go across the Bay Bridge and you're getting over on the western shore and you look south. There's a point that sticks out there by itself with a house on it. That's Hackett's Point. Hackett's Bar is one of the good oyster bars up there. But the last I knew of it, it was on display there at Hackett's Point. But yeah, there's how it started. There's one of those white cedar logs from the Pocomoke Swamp that they all got chiggers rounding up. And then the shows started going to the shows. Carved a whole family of geese. I've got these 4. My sister took a liking to this little sitting gosling here, so she has that. And then he made 3 snow geese. Most of what he did, the body was all out of one piece of wood. That ball crown down there that on the table with the wing off, that's not a wing carved separately and then inserted. That was all one piece of wood. But he carved and inserted the wings on this snow goose. There's no wood that big. And there's his early hooded merganser. There's the blue-winged teal and the mallard. He sold the mallard. He sold the mallard for $500, and in the early '70s. And Mom said, "That's my duck. You sold my duck. That's my favorite one." He had to go get it back. And he did. And he made the guy another one.
There's a lot of money in the 1970s.
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah, but Mom made him go get the mallard back. I'm pretty sure my sister's got that one. There's the wood duck. And there he is at the show, and there's Harvey Lynch, who many of you here probably know, Pocomoke. And there's Harvey's partner in shenanigans, Clifford Matthews. God, I love both those guys. When I was 13, duck hunting was kind of winding down around Chrisfield. I think it was a combination of the drainage of wetlands and in the prairie pothole area was loss of habitat was a factor. Too many outboard motors running around on the hunting grounds, scaring things all the time. But by the mid to late '60s, it was increasingly difficult to kill any ducks to Chrisfield unless you sweetened the situation, and he wasn't willing to do that because he didn't want the trouble. So he started looking around for other places to hunt, and somehow he ran into these boys from Pocomoke, and it was Harvey and Clifford. We'd already run into them hunting in the Cedar Island marsh a couple of years, the last couple of years that we were there. So Dad comes home one day and says, "Robin, we're going to a new place next year. And I think this is going to be good." And it was. We went over to Bloodsworth and Adams and Adams Island, and I asked him one day. I said, "Dad, is this what it used to be like?" He said, "Yeah, that's pretty close."
Shot a bunch of cans and redheads over there.
We didn't shoot them. We shot springtails and ball crowns over
Really?
there. Yeah, we didn't. We never did do much with the diving ducks.
No kidding.
We shot springtails and ball crowns and geese, and there were some mallards over there. Every once a couple times we had some blackheads come to us, but that was on account of Mr. Harvey and Mr. Clifford.
Wow.
And I was 13 years old, and those older men were willing to take me on a boat across the Sound in the dead of winter.
Wow.
Big guy Clifford, did he live in Pocomoke?
Yeah, he lived right next door to Harvey.
Oh, did he?
This might be the most unusual piece he ever did. It's a trotter made out of black walnut, sculptured out of one piece of black walnut. That's not a stand. That's part of the original log.
Wow.
I don't know how. I don't recall the story of how he got into this, but he met somebody who he met these people who I guess saw some of his work and just asked him if he could carve a horse in commemoration of this prize-winning horse of theirs that had recently died. So he got that chunk of black walnut and he started. And someone who had never carved anything but ducks created this piece. I have no idea where that piece is now.
Wow.
There's good pictures of all of these fine art pieces. It's in a photo album that's somewhere at home. Mom made sure studio pictures were taken of all of these pieces, and I was scratching around looking for it and could not find it. So I had to go. I went through other photo albums to find what I have here. So then there was the crabbing. He had started out a waterman. The times were hard in the contracting business. Crabbing was good enough in those days that it seemed entirely reasonable that going back on the water was a way to make more money than if he had continued in building homes.
Wow.
I mean, think about that when you think about what the situation is with blue crabs now. So all through the summer of 1971, he's listening to his friends at Chrisfield telling him, "Bryce, you ought to be down here. You make a lot of money crabbing right now." And they were all riding around in new pickup trucks that they had bought. 10 years later, the same pickup trucks didn't look so good, but in 1971 they did. So going crabbing next year. So he builds himself a crab pot boat. Starts probably in the fall of 1971. This picture's in March, by the way, and crabbing starts, in April, late April, 1st of May. So he builds this boat. Now I asked him later, after he started building these, I asked him, I said, Dad, is it harder to build one of these or one of these? And he said, it's easier to build the bigger boat than it is to build the smaller one. So crab pots had to be made. Bank traps had to be made. Shedder floats, 20 of them had to be made. I think 250 crab pots, 8 bank traps, 20 crab floats, a crab potting boat, a pound skiff to fish up. All ready to go by crabbing season. And we caught crabs in these bank traps in late April of 72. He was just, it was unbelievable. He'd already made the ball crown when he made over there when he was doing this. So there he is in his crab pot boat, coming in. There we are in front of his father, Shanny, which had a hole. We lived there, had a hole in the roof. The next he didn't have time to build a new shanty that year, so we had to live in this one, and you couldn't just leave all your stuff out there, and at the end of the day go home to Princess Anne. I mean, for one thing, you had to fish up, and or soft crabs will get hard if you leave them in the water too long. For the other thing, not everyone is honest. So we had to stay there, and we lived in that shanty all summer. There's a better picture of the shanty. That was it. That was home. That was home for the summer of 1972. That's where I set out Tropical Storm Agnes, which changed in June of 1972. Just changed the bay as we knew it, and it still hasn't recovered. And there's took the dog down there with him. Fishing bank traps. I'll be here the rest of the night if I tell you everything that's in all these these pictures. So I'll just say he's culling off. Of course, Mom out there took every one of those pictures. That's Mom. And there's crabbing in one picture. Sea nettle in your eye. Man, when you're shaking out a crab pot, or you're taking a fish out of the culling box, or something like that, and a piece of sea nettle sting gets on your face, close to your eye, everything stops. Your priorities change instantly. Building again, handling sheets of plywood by himself. Up there with a skill saw, cutting the overage off the peak up here, and and doing it left-handed. He's right-handed. It was the only way he could get to it. Had to do it left-handed. I'm sure he cut it straight. Waikiki Beach. Came to our wedding out there in Hawaii. And then he started with his grandkids. And he's going to shows, and there's a shop in Princess Anne. These were the crab shanties, by the way, that were down to Apes Hole. Remember the shanty that we were standing in front of? Well, the next year, the first thing that we did when we went down there was set that on fire and burn it up. And he built this one. And we lived in that. That had a walk-in cooler, and the other one had an ice box with which was an old refrigerator with holes punched in the bottom so the water could run out. Old school. And then he made this building, which was 65 feet long and about 12 feet wide, that had all of the crab floats in it. So that we no longer had them the winging lath floats tied to stakes overboard. We had them inside, which made fishing up a lot easier. And he had it so that we could recirculate and filter the water, filter all the sediment out of the water, and clear it up so that fishing up was less hard. So when he got finished crabbing and was going to leave Apes Hole at the end of the summer of '81, he got a fellow to come a mover to come down there, and this 65-foot building here wouldn't go around the dogleg turn in Apes Hole Road. So the mover told him, said, "Bryce, you're going to have to cut it in half." So got his skill saw out and up one side, across the roof, down the other side to the bottom, cut through the sills, and okay, we're ready to go. And then the mover came down there and they cut the pilings out from underneath of it, and took it to Princess Anne in two pieces, and set it down right where you see it there. This little boat here, or maybe the boat's back here, but part of an old skiff of Lem Ward's was there for a while. And there's the swans. There's a better picture of the two swans, and there's the other two snow geese. So he started going to shows. And this picture was taken probably in around 1989, 1990. He didn't have any cartilage in his shoulders. He had bad rotator cuffs in both shoulders. So he couldn't handle big pieces of wood anymore. He'd slowed down doing ducks because he couldn't do the hatchet work. He couldn't do the couldn't do the spoke shaving and that sort of thing. It just hurt his shoulders, and arteriosclerosis was starting to get to his respiratory function some. So hand sanding, and any of you that carve know what a physical workout that hand sanding can be. So he started making model boats. These boats. And because he could go out, he had to have work to do. So he would go out to his table saw and rip all of these this wood down to the size that you see it here, and he could put that together without having to, be chopping and be sanding and all of that. So and he could make these little crab barrels and various assorted things. And by the way, this is a model of his father's boat. It's and all of the little pieces that go with it are scale representative of the kind of work that my grandfather would have done out of this boat. This is a drake tail, and as these kinds of boats go, it's named drake tails are boats that have the stern the round and flared out. There's round sterns that have the same round stern, but it's flared in a little bit. And most of the old round sterns were originally built for sail. And when they started putting engines in them, and they juiced the engine, and the boat would pick up to go faster, that round stern would drag down in the water. So on those round sterns that are cut under, they had to put a planer board underneath of them to keep them from doing that. But yeah, so that boat was built by his uncle. Joe Cullen.
Now, when is the time frame that he did the taxidermy? Was he doing that all the while he was doing all this?
I think he learned how to do taxidermy when he was a teenager, and he did taxidermy from the mid to late 50s through most of the 60s. And he started getting tired of that because he was doing deer heads, and he would get he'd get an order for 25 or 30, maybe 40 deer heads in a year, and all you have to do to do that, there's the hunters would bring them to you with just the head and the meat in it, so he had to skin all them. He didn't want hunters doing it anyway because they'd cut them all up around the mouth, and yeah, when you go to mount a deer head, if you can't get the mouth right, I mean, you don't have much. So he would, and then there's that, and then there's the salting, and then there's the pickle barrel, and then there's the stretching it, and then there's ordering all your forms and all that, and then there's cutting the antlers just right, and then there's sewing them up, and then there's putting all those stick pins around the mouth and the eyes, and then he just got tired of it, and stopped doing it. But
very time consuming.
Very time consuming, but it was a source of income. I mean, it was a nice little piece of money. Yeah. Fishing out of the boat that he built. Patterns to a full-sized set of wooden bunk beds that he made for our children, and out of pine, and each one of them, both sides and the footboard, he's carved whales and sharks and all kinds of various things in there. And there's his, that's probably his last show. And that's the end of that show.
And did he have any kind of formal training as far as art or anything like that, or just all self-taught?
I'm glad you asked, because he had been doing 3D all his life. He had trouble with 2D. So he went up to Salisbury State and he signed up for Kathy Sigler's art class, drawing class, and Bryce Tyler went back to school. And of course, he was given all of the things that the tasks that you get as a student to try and create depth and scale and shadow and all of that. And in those classes, and I took a couple of them when I was there, you get exposed to all of the different types of media, pencil, charcoal, Conte crayon, pen and ink, so he developed a like for pencil, and that's a pencil drawing, and these big drawings that he did, there's a few of them. They're stories. Each one of them is a story. He didn't just carve a bunch of springtails here and put them over these decoys just out of random. One day in 1984, it was in November, and I had work, and I was living up in Northeast at the top of the bay at the time, but I had work. And it was a perfect gunning day. I mean, it was blowing, it was a nice day. And so I couldn't go. And he said, well, let's go tomorrow. And so tomorrow came and got up, and, not a cloud in the sky, slick cam, but I didn't know how many more trips I was going to get in with Dad, and because he was at the point then that he was only going because of me. He was past the point where he was interested in hunting anymore. He was perfectly content to be there in his shop carving, but he would go because I still wanted to go with him. So I rode all the way down there and got to his house, to their house, I guess about 9 o'clock or so, and my blue heaven up there, not an air of wind. So we drive on down there to the D-Line Wildlife Management area. Turn there at the post office. I'm sure some of you have been back there. And went down, rode down to the through the impoundment. Didn't see anything except vehicle after vehicle coming out. Well, we're going to go anyway. So we get down there just about to the point where you're out in the open expanse of the marsh on the Deal Island side of that road. And there's a couple of ponds there, a little curve in the road. And we used to hunt over there in the impoundment on that right about in that general area. We launched a boat, and so had the dog with us, a lab that was learning. And we go out there and started bushing up our little blind, which was a small 10-foot boat that he had built low so we could hunt out there in that low marsh. And I was putting decoys out, and he was breaking blind material, and here came a sprigtail. Just like that, right out of my blue heaven. And I just looked at it, and it just kept coming, and it was and it eventually paid off, at like almost gunshot range. And I looked at him, Dad looked at me, and And we kept on about our business. Here came another one. Did the same thing. You know, like 2 minutes behind that one. And it's like 11 o'clock in the middle of the day. And did the same thing. So after that one went by, we're starting to get a little more sense of urgency about us to get ready. And so we did get ready. And at 2:30, we had 13 ducks in the blind with us. Eight of them Drake Sprigtails. One of the best days we ever had.
Isn't that crazy?
So little wind, you know, you just see your reflection plain as day in the water. And late in the afternoon, we were sitting there and looking to the south, and here comes this big wad of ducks out of the sun. Well, we didn't know what they were. So we just kind of got down. I mean, all we could see was black figures coming. And when they got close enough to see what they were sprigtails, you know, and they just did this. And here they came. And I said, they were just about right. And I said to Dad, let's not shoot them, let's just watch them. We got enough ducks. And they came around. And they did right on around the blind, and they did that 3 times, and each time they were closer. The first time they were plenty close enough. I mean, by the time they did it the 3rd time, they were almost in the blind with us. And I just always called it, you know, just the best shot that was never taken.
It's amazing.
But what went through my mind a little bit that led to that was that I remembered that him talking about when he was young and going out, that oftentimes he didn't take shots. There were so many more ducks and things were so much better that he would often just have them come and pitch and watch them and let them go. And it just that did cross my mind in that moment.
Robbie, the goose decoys with the babies and everything, do you have the picture with the story on the back of it? Remember there was a guy down in North Carolina that dug a pond?
Yeah.
Guess who's got that picture?
Lockhart Gaddy.
Yeah. Guess who's got that picture?
I don't know. You got it?
And he also had that same goose scenario, and he put it up to Blackwater Refuge.
That was a different one. That was the one with the with the 3 goslings.
Right. Your swan decoys?
Yeah.
Dad made 3 of them via Bryce, and he hollered them out. One's been eat up by a dog. The other one my sister's
First time
got.
that ever happened.
And the one that was mine, I've got it in the archives over to his house. And the Adams Island, the ball crown that I'm going to give you, you hunted over it.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else have I got to talk about here? Oh, this piece. He had these posters made. And I don't know how many of them he had made, but they were to promote his business. And they almost all went away. But I still had this one around, and I was going to get it framed, and I just happened to flip it over and look at the back of it, And I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
Good Lord.
What's this?
That's awesome.
This is the pattern to the oyster boat that he did not build.
Wow.
He was thinking about, going full scale on the water, crabbing and oystering, and he went far enough that he drew this pattern of the boat that he would build to do that. And this was going to be a 33 footer, 33 point of the bow to the stern, and so I thought, what am I going to do with this? So I took it to the framing shop, and and showed this young woman that had done some other framing for me that had done me some really nice work. And I said, well, what can you do? And so she glassed it in, double-sided it on the back. Now I hang it, like this. But anytime I want to tell that story, I can just pull that off.
That's a great poster.
Off the wall.
I knew somebody like to have that.
You noticed phone number?
Yeah. Yeah.
3-digit phone number. Remember 3-digit? Anybody here remember 3-digit phone numbers? That was ours, 865.
And most of the decoys he made was for himself.
Yes.
It wasn't like a commercial maker or anything.
He made.
Did he sign his stuff that he made? Working stuff?
Towards the end. People brought him things to sign. Mom made sure.
When they became collector, right?
Yeah, Mom made sure he put his pen to every piece that he had around there. But he made 24 of these for his nephews. This edition right here, and they hunted Pocomoke Sound, Marumska Creek, East Creek, in that area with them. And the reason that I wanted to talk about, I brought ball crowns and canvas backs. I could have brought some other things as well, but it gets to be a lot after a while. But with the ball crowns and canvasbacks, I've got a progression of development that I can talk about. I don't know how many times that I've had heard people say, "Well, so and so's got so much more talent than I have. I don't have talent to do that." And when somebody says something like that to me, and I have these to show them, I'll say, you don't know how much talent that you have until you put the time in, because the same guy that made this one made this one. And the same guy that made this one made this one. And the same guy that made this one made this one. And this is the model that he used. same duck that he used to carve this one. It helps to be a taxidermist. You have the birds in hand, you have the feathers, and that mattered more then than I think it does now, with the quality of photography that exists and all of the guides that you can find online and things like that. But when he was doing this in the early days, having hands on these birds really made a difference. He loaned some mounted ducks to Lem Ward one time for Lem to paint by, and so he went to get them back, and they had little paint splotches all over them. He's like, Lem, you paint the wooden ones. Lem used to cut Dad's hair when Dad was little. Let's see. What else we got going on here? These ones. Oh, these are the ones that got shot by the 9-year-old. Maybe not these particular ones, but this group. Here's a model that he made a pattern of and carved one, and never did, to my knowledge, make another one. This was going to be, he was going to make a new stool ball crowns, and but he just didn't follow up on it. But he hollowed this out. The rest of these are solid, and I think when he got because he wanted them to hollow them out to get rid of some of the weight so they wouldn't be so heavy in the skiff. But I think that he was skeptical of how they were going to ride on the water in a hunting situation. Just would be too light, because the heavier wooden decoys, they ride really well in the water, and lighter decoys that don't have like water weight in the keel or something like that, just flipping around, and they're not very lifelike. These two. There's a bit of a difference in the paint. They're both painted by Dad, but this one was painted in 1966. This one was painted in 1980, probably, maybe the mid 80s. I think it was the mid 80s. But anyway, when you use wooden decoys, you get the paint knocked off of them, and they're tools. And when you get there comes a time that they need to be repainted. I mean, they're just like they're like guitars. You play guitar enough, and comes a time one day when you need to put new frets on it. Collectors don't like that sort of thing, but it's a tool, and if you're going to continue to use it, you need to put it back in good working order. And ball crowns, real ball crowns, aren't white, which is what this show was beginning to show up as on the water. So he painted them over again, and in between painting this one and this one, I had put a second coat of paint on it and knocked it off. So he painted over mine. So this one's on its third painting. This one is the first painting. Now, what's funny about this is that here comes Mom again. When I was getting ready to repaint them in the around 1980, Mom says, "Robin, you can't paint those decoys. They're going to be worth something someday. Don't paint them." I said, "Mom, they're my decoys. They're tools. I'm going to paint them." "Robin, don't do it." "Mom, I'm going to paint my decoys. They're mine." She says, "Well," so I had to make a deal with her. I said, "All right, Mom. I'll give." I had springtails, ball crowns, and black ducks. I said, "I'll give you one of each one of them, and you can put them away." So I did. I gave her this ball crown. I gave her a springtail and a black duck. So Mom put them away. They were in the attic. After Dad passed away, she started remodeling her house. I went down there one day about a couple years in, and asked about my three decoys. I didn't see them around there anywhere. I was past the point then of being interested in repainting them. I mean, she had served the purpose. She said, "Ron, I don't remember anything about 3 ducks." So, okay, Mom. I wasn't going to get anything else out of her. So, after Mom passed away, in almost 20 years later, I was talking to my sister one day, and we were talking about what we had of Dad's art, and started talking about the old decoys that he had. And I said, "Well, Crystal, I think I know what you got." And she says, so I started rattling them off. And I was pretty true to form on that, and I came to the end of my road, and she said, "I got more than that, Robin." I said, "What do you mean you got more than that?" She said, "Yeah, I've got more than that." Now, Crystal, you wouldn't happen to have a draped ball crown with its head kind of tilted up, and a springtail with its head turned like a 90-degree angle to the body, and a black duck with its head rolled over on its back and a little piece of the wing sticking up?" She said, "Yeah, I have them." I said, how'd you happen? She said, "One day when I was down there and I was getting ready to leave, Mom came running out and said, 'Crystal, you've got to take these decoys home. They're Robin's, and if they stay here, he's going to get them and he's going to paint them. So you take these home and put them in your house, and don't tell him that you have them.'"
That's great.
Almost 20 years went by.
Wow.
Well, I got them back. These two. I never did get into carving and painting. I tried. I sat out in the shop with Dad, as you saw in pictures, and gave it a shot. And I could probably paint one if I put some decoys together if I needed to. Nothing like he did, but in the early '80s, there were a lot of ball crowns around, ball pate, American Widgeon, and so he made 6 more, and I said, "If you make them, I'll paint them." So he made them, and these 2 I painted. And
They look good.
they're ready to go. Now you can probably go online now and look up ball paint and have formula there for just what colors to mix up and put together to get close. But I think, and this canvas back, same way. This one's hollowed out. This is from a, he wrote on here, 1964 model, not used. And he didn't finish it. I'm pretty confident when I see something that's attributed to him as to whether he actually did it or not. Because it seems that there's a fair amount of this kind of art that circulates that's not necessarily made by who it's said to be made by. I was home one day and a friend sent me a picture of a couple of buffleheads from the show over in Easton, Bryce Tyler buffleheads. And I wrote her back and I said, well, they're nice buffleheads, that's for sure, but they're not Bryce Tyler's buffleheads. And because he didn't tend to make for one thing, they didn't look like his, and he didn't tend to make things that he wasn't going to hunt over himself. The talent point that I was making and the time put in. And I'm going to wrap up here in just a second. But I went to a guitar workshop some years ago, and music's my thing. That's what I do. And I was listening to this guy playing guitar and selling Fender guitar amps. And he's really good. I mean, he's really top notch. And somebody asked him at the end of his demonstration, Greg, you know, how much time do you have to put in to get like that good, that accomplished? And he didn't have to think about it. He said in order to become masterful, you need to put in 10,000 hours. And I don't know how many hours that Dad put in from the time that he decided he was going to be a fine art carver. But I know this. I know that he came home every day after working on a home building job all day long, and would go in that shop all seasons, summer included, no air conditioning, just a fan, and work until, you know, everybody else had gone to bed. And he did that day after week after month and a few years. And that's what it takes. Anybody got any questions?
You about covered it all.
That's good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I brought some things. And if for anyone who would like to take these home, I had no idea how many people to expect, so I didn't bring nearly enough, but help yourselves to what I have brought.
Thank you very much.
No, I'm probably going to die with them. These are not yet. These are note cards that he designed and drew. So there's several boxes of them. These are lithographs. Wow. There's there's 3 of 5 or 6 different ones in here. Now, one of the groups is kind of fluky, and I didn't realize it until I had had them all together and had put the stock back together. But when they were printed off, they were printed double-sided. And I took them out in the sun, and I looked, and you can't see the other side coming through. The paper is thick enough that you can't see that. So, you can pick whether you like the springtails or the geese.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate the time and effort you put into this. This is great. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Without further ado,